Good afternoon, Chamber members. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Sabrina Binkley, Head of School at Spruce Tree Montessori and Chair of the Fairbanks Chamber Board of Directors. I'd like to take a moment, as we do each week, to thank our executive partners whose logos you saw on the screen before we began our presentation today. These businesses are the backbone of business in our community and a pillar of strength for the Fairbanks Chamber. Their support is not only financial. Often these businesses are providing the Chamber and our advocacy committees the knowledge and information needed to inform our advocacy process and the supportive policy that makes Fairbanks and our state the best environment possible to do business. A full list of our executive partners can be found on our website. I'd like to welcome Brenna now online to recognize our new and renewing members. Brenna?
Thanks, Sabrina. So we would like to thank the following renewing members: Fairbanks Soil and Water Conservation District, Fairbanks Urology, Colleen Redmond, and the Blood Bank of Alaska. We'd also like to welcome new members to our 110% Club, which means that these members gave above and beyond their annual contribution to help us with our advocacy actions. And that is Rodeo Alaska, Konica Minolta, Santa's Stitches, RJG, a professional corporation, Bass Dental, AT&S, and Arctic Travelers Gift Shop. Thank you. And for this week's membership minute, I like to focus on a unique partnership that the Chamber has with Explore Fairbanks and Fort Wainwright. In the past, you may have heard us talk about this new partnership where we are giving off-post tours to military that are arriving in our community and that are new. And we are going to start resuming those again in person. And so the opportunity for Chamber members to put in little gifts or coupons or BOGO items to help welcome those military families and soldiers into our community are more than welcome. And if you have any questions about how to participate in this community activity and welcome demonstration, you can reach out to myself or any of the other Chamber staff here or Explore Fairbanks. And we would love to see you participate and help us welcome these new community members. All right, back to you, Sabrina.
Great, thanks so much, Brenna. So this week, almost all of our advocacy committees are meeting. This morning, our Government Relations Committee met and did some planning and looking ahead to election season. Tomorrow, the Education and Workforce Development Committee will be hosting UAF Provost Anupma Prakash. And Thursday morning, the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee will hear an update from Mayor Bryce Ward on the borough's capital improvement program. And then on Friday, our Military Affairs Committee will be meeting at 9 a.m. Then all committees and the board will take a break for the week of Golden Days. The next board meeting is scheduled for Monday, July 27. So in my reflective post or prompt today, I wanted to take a moment and talk a little bit about the 4th of July. We just celebrated America's 244th birthday. For many Americans, that meant spending time with family, firing up the grill, and shooting off a few fireworks if you could. For other Americans, it meant reflecting on our nation's history, remembering time served in our military, or thinking of loved ones who are currently serving. Independence Day means so many things to so many people. It all depends on who you ask. I found an article published a few years back by soldiersangels.org in which they asked their angel team leaders what the holiday means to them. I thought I'd share a few of my favorites. Here's what they had to say. Hannah Emmett, Living Legends team leader, she said, "To me, the 4th of July is a celebration of everything that America is: independence, freedom, families, and service. The day that we give thanks to the servicemen and women who sacrifice everything to allow us to continue to be the land of the free, home of the brave." Julie Etzler, the Angel Bakers team leader, said, "To me, the 4th of July is a day celebration and day of gratitude. We get to celebrate the freedoms that were fought for so many years ago that we have today. But we also reflect back on those lives that were lost and those that are still being sacrificed or affected today." Pat Freed, the Special Operations Forces team leader, said in an anecdote that spells forth, "Freedom for all, open heart, open mind, unfailing courage, respect and responsibility, the land of the free, home of the brave, honor and loyalty." So I would just ask that you reflect on what the holiday means or meant to you, and that we all move forward in the most positive, respectful way we can. And with that, here's Marissa with her President and CEO report.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. I seem to have lost my script. Give me 1 minute. All right. I wanted to thank everyone for joining us here today and joining Dan's presentation from IGU. Just want to give folks a couple of quick updates. So my first update is about political forum season, which is upon us. So if you've ever asked yourself, man, someone really should ask the candidate that specific question before an election, or if you've ever felt uncertain about a ballot measure, but have not been sure where to find more information, now is your chance to go ahead and help the chamber ask all the right and best questions of our candidates and in leading up to elections about certain ballot initiatives. The Fairbanks Chamber will be hosting a series of political forums to help our business community understand the issues and the candidates that you'll find on the ballots this fall. You can submit your questions for any of the following candidate or ballot measure forums by emailing Janelle, which is JINNEL, at fairbankschamber.org. Also, this year, we're offering businesses an opportunity to be a political forum series sponsor. That means that your sponsorship benefits will be spread out over the 2-month period of political forums and will align your business with getting out and voting and being with your informed vote. A series sponsorship is $500 and your business will be recognized at our 8 forums. Again, this is not politically aligning your business with any candidate or position on a ballot initiative, but rather supporting people in our community going out and casting an informed vote during elections. With that, I'll move on to some updates regarding our events. So there are golden days ahead, and we are counting down the last 2 weeks here as we lead up to July 18th. Your chamber team has planned a set of COVID-conscious activities for us to all enjoy. Please be sure to check our website for information about our reverse grand parade and a citywide street fair, and of course, everyone's favorite rubber ducky race. Tomorrow, we'll be drawing the early bird winner. That will be a $1,500 richer, thanks to Mac Federal Credit Union. We'll stream that event live from the Mac Federal Credit Union Facebook page at noon on Wednesday. That's tomorrow, July 8th. Go ahead now to Facebook and make sure that you like Mac Federal Credit Union, and then you'll get a reminder when they go live at noon. All yellow tickets that have been purchased through the end of the day yesterday will be entered into that drawing. If you're not in the early bird drawing, please don't despair. You can still win up to $15,000 on race day. Tickets are available at any Sunrise Bagel and Espresso location or at any of our other business vendors, including Alaska Fun Center, Mac Federal Credit Union, Arctic Travelers Gift Shop, Edge of the Arctic Trading Post, Santina's Flowers and Gifts, Elks Lodge, and Yukon Quest. You can also get them online, and you can find that link at our fairbankschamber.org website. So make sure that you get out and bet on your lucky duck. We are still accepting parade entries, but this is your last week to do that. All entries must be submitted by this Friday. If you know someone that's got a fun or unique addition to the parade, please encourage them to reach out to the chamber team today. Our citywide street fair will feature great food and merchandise and other booth options that you can patron while we all practice physical distancing and mask wearing. We have received quite a few questions about how exactly we're going to alter this event to make it safe for our community. So I'd like to describe a couple of ways that we have changed this event this year based on what our normal expectation would be. So there will be 12 pods that we're setting up, and each pod will host 3 to 4 booths in a large paved or large grassy area. So we're going to take over all of Fairbanks, from Beaver Sports to the Event Center Lounge to Regal Goldstream Cinemas and Jeans Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram. That's a tongue twister. So that's all corners of our community. And there will be no on-site consumption of food at any of those pods. So make sure that you plan to get your food to go and eat at home or in your vehicle. Guests at our street fair should plan on wearing masks, and we're asking everyone to adhere to physical distancing from non-household members while in attendance. That means no congregating in lines. Our communications with state and local officials have emphasized the attributes of our event that include hosting local vendors and not attracting visitors from out of state or from other communities across Alaska. Our events are outdoors, which also helps to mitigate the spread of COVID. We're asking everyone to help us be COVID conscious when participating in events. And of course, stay home if you're not feeling well or if you've been exposed to someone that's recently tested positive for the coronavirus. If anyone has any questions about any of our mitigation plans, please don't hesitate to reach out to the Chamber at any time. And finally, with our events being so spread out this year, we do need more volunteers than usual. If you can't think of anything better than spending the day celebrating our community in a COVID-conscious way, you can reach out to us and get your name on the Golden Days volunteer list. You can find details about all of the Golden Days events and more on our website at fairbankschamber.org/goldendays, or at the Greater Fairbanks Chamber of Commerce Facebook page, where you can find all the latest and up-to-date information and information releases. We can't wait to see you. Back to you, Sabrina.
Great, thanks so much, Marissa, and great job, you and your team, on putting together such a responsible weekend for our community. I really appreciate that. Now for our main presentation. The Greater Fairbanks community has been awaiting the arrival and availability of a natural gas option, and we're very happy to say that Interior Gas Utility is providing just that. Today we have their General Manager, Dan Britton, on the call to update us on the economic and environmental opportunity that IGU's expanding services offer. Dan Britton has over 28 years of experience working in varying roles within the natural gas and utility industry, with specific focus on non-traditional supply solutions. Dan is the General Manager of the Interior Gas Utility and has led Fairbanks Natural Gas and subsidiaries since 2000. Prior to moving to Alaska, Dan held multiple positions with BC Gas in Vancouver, including a development role in LNG and propane supply for locations not connected to the pipeline network. Thanks so much for joining us today, Dan. Take it away.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Sabrina. It's a great opportunity for the Interior Gas Utility to give an update to the community, and we appreciate the Chamber reaching out and making this time available to us. It's extremely exciting time for the Interior Gas Utility. We've had a very busy past couple of years with the completion of a number of significant major milestone projects for bringing natural gas to our community. On this cover page, you can see we have one of our employees installing a gas meter on the side of a newly built home. And it's that message today that I hope people hear the most, is that we are adding new customers now for the first time in a number of years. And the work that we have recently done is allowing that to happen. So we are actively accepting new applications and bringing more gas to more people in our community. Next slide, please. Just as a reminder, why the Interior Gas Utility is here and what is our purpose and our goals. And it culminated with the development of the Interior Energy Project, which a number of years ago, the governor and administration provided some funding sources to help bring additional gas supplies to the Fairbanks North Star Borough and our community. Our purpose is to bring low-cost energy to as many residents and businesses in interior Alaska as possible, as soon as possible. And our goal is to help to stabilize the economy and improve air quality. Next slide, please. One of the major projects we're extremely proud to have completed in the last year, just at the end of December in 2019, was the construction of what we call the heart of the Interior Energy Project, and that is the 5.25 million gallon storage tank that's in South Fairbanks, down near the end of Pega Road. This was a very ambitious project, completed in schedule. We now have this facility in operation, and its current inventory is about 1.6 million gallons of LNG. Prior to the winter season this year, we will bring the storage volume up to about 3 million gallons of LNG. And to put, put that into perspective, based on our current demand in the winter, that's over a 30-day supply of LNG in storage in our community. So really enhances the security of supply of the gas distribution system, and make sure that our customers can rest assured that gas will be available for them during our extreme cold periods in the winter, and provides that the heart that will keep the gas flowing throughout the winter season. So in the future, we'll likely take the inventory up to its full capacity of 5.25 million gallons, but that wasn't necessary this year until we build and add additional customers. But it's in operation and will have in excess of 3 million gallons prior to this winter season. Next slide, please. Another major milestone for us is the construction of the North Pole Storage and Vaporization Facility. Many of you may recall in 2015, the Interior Gas Utility constructed a significant amount of distribution piping network in the North Pole community. That piping has been waiting for a gas source to begin feeding it. Completion of the North Pole Storage Facility and Vaporization Facility will, for the first time, make natural gas available in the North Pole community. This project is scheduled to be completed in the fall of 2020. We have had a number of minor delays related to the COVID-19 outbreak related to equipment supplies, but we're managing those fairly well. So the overall delay in the project is likely to be less than 2 months. We were originally scheduling the end of September of 2019. Now it's looking like it'll be a little bit later in the fall. So this project is actively being constructed right now by a company, Cornerstone Contracting, proceeding well. And will, again, as I said, be the first time gas availability will be available in North Pole. So we are adding customer service lines in North Pole this summer. Next slide, please. So while we've made significant progress on our 2 storage facilities, which are necessary to provide additional gas into the distribution system, the third major project we've been working on is the expansion of the liquefaction facility that provides the LNG to our community. That facility is owned by the Interior Gas Utility and operated by the Interior Gas Utility. It currently produces about 50,000 gallons of LNG per day. As part of our expansion and growth of gas in the community, at some point we will need additional LNG supplies. And we had been working on the front end engineering and design for an expansion of the Titan liquefaction facility by adding an additional 100,000 gallons per day. We were set to make a final investment decision on that project in March, and we're working with the board of directors on that decision. As we started to reevaluate and take a close look at that final investment decision is when the COVID outbreak happened. We saw a significant drop in oil price and potential concerns related to our economy. We felt it made sense to pause that decision as we wait and see how the oil market and our economy reacts to that outbreak. And so for now, we've paused that decision. It's one that we'll continue to watch and monitor markets and make the decision. We have to make the final investment decision 2 years in advance of when we'll need the product. So we'll be actively monitoring that. While we pause the Titan facility, we are moving forward with a $10 million bond offering that'll allow us to continue to add the service lines and meters to customers. The addition and completion of our large storage project with our existing liquefaction facility gives us enough added capacity to serve approximately 2,600 new residential customers. Depending on the mix between commercial and residential will depend on how many new customers we can add. So even though we've paused the liquefaction expansion, we do have significant additional capacity with the new storage projects to begin or continue to add new customers. Next slide, please. So this is the exciting part. For the first time in a long time, we can now begin to bring on new customers, and you'll see IGU becoming a lot more proactive in the community as it relates to our communications. Some of the things we're working on is a virtual tour with the mayor to talk about the various natural gas assets and benefits in our community, including the air quality improvements that we can achieve. We're going to be putting together a virtual tank tour, a lot more active on our social media. We recently completed a new website that will be rolled out in the next week. And we'll begin targeting some direct mailers to customers that can add natural gas to their home or business today. We also continue to work very closely on potential programs that can assist customers with their conversion cost. Specifically, we have CPACE, which is a commercial program that's based on a property assessment. And we have been working closely with the Fairbanks North Star Borough and the targeted airshed grants. Customers that are looking to switch to natural gas may take advantage of the Fairbanks North Star Borough Wood Stove Exchange Program, as well as the newly formed gas to oil oil to natural gas conversion program, which the borough funded with $1 million. So both of those programs are available to assist customers with the conversion costs. In just an update on new customers being added in 2019 in preparation for the completion of our storage facilities, we added 50 new customers. Those customers are now have meters installed, and the majority of them are actively using natural gas. In 2020, already to date, we have over 150 applications for new service. So that's approximately a 10% increase in our customer base, and we're adding to those daily. Next slide. So the message here is that sign up now. We are actively taking applications for service both in Fairbanks and North Pole. Given we do have limited construction season, we will be completing the service line installations basically on a first come, first served basis, and we'll continue to work until the ground freezes again, likely the middle of October. So, well, we do have a limited construction season and capacity. So if you're interested in natural gas, make sure you are signing up today. You can look at places to get the information you need at both our website and Facebook for applications. Next slide, please. One of the things in the background that many may not see but are necessary for us to be able to achieve all these goals and activities is the financing and the funding for these. As we prepared for the final investment decision for the Titan expansion and the additional new services and meters, our next phase of funding is through bond placement. Those bonds will be placed through ADA as a conduit revenue bond. Back in March 5th, we received approval from the ADA Board of Directors to issue up to $78 million of bonds. We also, for the first time, received a rating from the Fitch Rating Agency of a BBB- investment grade for the placement of those revenue bonds for our utility. As we mentioned earlier, we paused the Titan expansion, so our need for bond capacity dropped for now. So we've reduced that from a $78 million offering to a $10 million bond offering that we're in the final phases of preparation for. We'll likely place those in the early part of September, and that'll provide the necessary financing for the ongoing installations of services and meters. Next slide, please. So some of the next steps we're working on are the completion of the North Pole storage site. As I said, that should be completed in the late fall of 2019 and making gas available in North Pole system just before the winter season hits. We will have already started installation of services and meters, and will continue to do so through the rest of the summer of 2020, and then again in following years. So if you don't make it on the list early enough this year, we'll look to get those completed in the following construction season. We are consolidating all of the entities that have formerly existed. So many of you are aware of Fairbanks Natural Gas has been in the community for many years. The Interior Gas Utility now owns all of those entities, and we are consolidating and will be operating solely under the Interior Gas Utility name moving forward. There is an application with the Regulatory Commission of Alaska right now for the consolidation of our certificates of public convenience and necessity, and that's about a 6-month process. We are working on new gas supply contracts and in negotiations with a number of entities related to potential gas supplies, and we'll be finalizing some of those in the next coming months for our future gas supply needs. And as I said earlier, we'll continue to monitor the markets and the economy so that we can time the liquefaction expansion as necessary with the market need, both for the gas supply and for our security of supply. And next slide, please. And finally, a reminder that we provide at any one of our presentations, and especially during these great summer days when everybody's busy in the yard and completing new construction projects, is please make sure you call 811 before you dig. We'd be happy to come out and provide a free locate and ensure that you can safely dig in your yard or in the street and avoid our buried natural gas mains and service lines. With that, Sabrina, I'm happy to answer any questions, and thank you again for the opportunity for the update today.
Great, thank you as well, Dan. So just a reminder to our audience, if you could type your questions into the chat, we'll go ahead and get to as many of those as we can. I'll ask the first question or two here. I know it probably depends on what type of home it is or where the home is located, but what is the average annual household consumption that you use to calculate your capacity needs? And I guess with that, you talked about the new LNG tank that was recently built, and it has a capacity of 4 or 5 times what it is today. So is there a limit someday to the number of customers you'll be able to take based on those calculations?
Good question. And so for a residential customer, we use a average annual consumption of about 130,000 cubic feet. That's about the average that a normal residential customer will use. And that equates to just under 1,000 gallons of heating oil. So if you use about 1,000 gallons of heating oil in your home, that's about 130,000 cubic feet of natural gas. In the winter today, our peak load hits about 70,000 gallons per day. So the capacity that we have in the tank is much more than even the 30 days I referenced earlier. As we continue to grow our demand, that peak winter day load will increase. Our forecasts show that we will be maintaining over a 10-day supply out into the future. So it's an ongoing balance, one that we'll need to make additional investments as the market grows. So it's a balance between LNG production capacity and storage capacity. And ultimately, if the customers are there, it will provide us the incentive to make the investments to ensure we have the supply. So I think we've got the backbone in the large storage tank now that alleviates any potential supply concerns for an extended period of time before we really have to even consider any more major investments in storage. We do have investments necessary in the liquefaction production, though, as new customers come on.
Great, thank you. We'll go to Janelle.
Okay, so we do have several questions that have come in online. I'll start though with a comment, which was the first thing to show up, which was Design Alaska is very happy to hear about the 30-day supply of natural gas. So just to start on a high note here. So one question was, what details would a business need to consider if they are potentially interested in converting their building to natural gas heating? What would they need to be looking at or thinking about?
So not only a commercial building, but also a residential will want to make contact with a mechanical contractor for an estimate on the conversion of their heating appliances or other appliances that they wish to use natural gas for. They can make contact with our office, with Michelle, and she can provide the application for service. We can answer any questions they might have with regards to the construction process and where we might be able to locate a gas meter. And at that point, we can just coordinate the installation of the service line and the gas meter, and with the customer's mechanical contractor, they can make the necessary conversions or installations of new appliances.
So based on what you just said, I think the answer to the next question might be complicated, but there were a couple of questions about cost. Can you estimate what it might cost for a business or a residence to convert or to hook up at least, maybe?
It's a little easier to provide an average for a residence than it is a business, because businesses can be so much different in their size and their varying potential uses of natural gas. But a residential customer converting their home, their cost will range from somewhere around $2,500 up to $10,000 for the conversion, depending on whether they replace only the burner on their boiler, remove the oil burner and replace it with a gas burner. There's some boilers that you can do that with. Or if you're replacing your boiler in its entirety, then you're looking at approximately a $10,000 cost to replace that boiler.
Okay, so a lot obviously will depend on what someone already has, what their current situation is.
It depends on the current situation. There's many people that have a boiler that's been in service for many, many years. I would add that when you do make the conversion to natural gas, you have a lot of additional options for efficiency. Natural gas boilers, you can purchase a condensing natural gas boiler with up to 95% plus efficiency. A standard oil boiler is in the 82% range. You can get up to about 87%, but just through the conversion, you can increase your efficiency of the appliance pretty significantly. Natural gas as well doesn't soot up like an oil burner, and it stays clean for the life of its installation. In an oil burner, your boiler begins to soot the minute you turn it on, and you lose efficiency. So that's where customers are used to calling their service technician on an annual basis and having them come in and clean their boiler, tune their boiler. With natural gas, you can avoid that expense. You don't have to do that annually, and you can move out your maintenance to sometimes many, many years before a service technician needs to look at your appliance. So in addition to the efficiency gains, you also have annual operating savings related to the avoidance of those needed maintenance activities.
Okay. So someone did ask about which contractor do you have doing the service line expansion work?
So we have on our IGU Board of Directors meeting today a recommendation for approval of the contract. So it has not been let yet. So until that's approved, it's on our agenda today. There was a new name and I don't have it off the top of my head for a joint venture of a contractor, but one of them, I believe the recommendation is for Alaska Directional Drilling. And then the second contractor, I'd have to look again. I apologize. I don't have right off the top of my head.
Well, and we can definitely, if that's something, we can definitely communicate with folks with the answers after this as well. So kind of similarly, but slightly different, does F&G install the service lines to the meters, or is it up to the customer? So you come and install the meter on the house, but is it up to the customer to contract out connecting from the service line to the meter?
Yeah. So we will arrange for the construction of the service line to the meter. The customer does not have to complete that work activity. We do. The cost associated with most service lines is a $50 service application fee, plus the payment of the cost associated with an excess flow valve. So for a residential customer, if they are within 100 feet of our main line, their total cost of the service line is $225. Most customers are within that 100-foot parameter. If they are outside of that, there's an additional per footage cost. So the utility subsidizes the service line installation pretty substantially in order to keep the cost down to customers.
Okay. And if someone wanted to find out whether they were within one of those service areas or where those lines are, is there a map on your website?
Yes, there will be a map for both Fairbanks system and the North Pole system on the website that you can look up your address and see if there's a installed main line in front of your location. We also encourage customers to contact our office and speak to Michelle Hollowell, and she can help them with determining the availability of service to their location.
Okay, and if someone is already signed up to for new service, is there a way for them to check where they stand on the list, or when they could expect for that to happen?
Yeah. Again, please feel free to contact the office, speak with Michelle. Michelle is maintaining the list and monitoring the schedule as it relates to when the new service lines are being scheduled for each individual location.
I will mention Michelle is a valuable member of our Energy, Environment, and Natural Resources Committee, so we're definitely familiar with her and thank her for serving on that committee. I know that it's come up a couple of times in discussions about natural gas. People in Alaska have heard about accidents or explosions that have happened with older natural gas infrastructure, particularly on the East Coast. Can you respond to any safety concerns that people might have when thinking about this conversion?
Sure. Yeah. Good question. Yeah. Natural gas is the most widely used energy source in the United States. It is used almost exclusively in most other areas of our nation. So it can and is used safely every day. It is a gas. It does have the ability to ignite and needs to be used correctly. And as you mentioned, there are some aged systems out in various communities throughout the nation, some of which were steel and cast iron piping networks that have experienced corrosion over the years. And so the integrity of the system diminishes. The nice part about our system in the Fairbanks community is it's 100% high density polyethylene today. And so it's not subject to corrosion. We spend a fair amount of time trying to make sure we educate the public, the contractors, and anybody potentially doing construction in our community so that people do call before they dig and we can avoid any third-party damage to the system. In the event there is, our staff is well trained in the response to potential emergencies, and we work very actively with the Fairbanks, the fire departments, to make sure that they are also trained on what to do in the event we do have an incident. So it is safe. It's used every day, the widely used energy source, and as I said, in the nation. And Fairbanks has had gas available since 1998 and without significant incidents since that time. So we have a proven track record of operating safely, and look forward to continuing that. We do also make sure we educate new customers on what to do if they smell gas. We inject an odorant in the gas to make sure it's readily detectable if there is a leak, and we can respond and correct any issues that we need to correct.
Okay, and I will say, having grown up in the Midwest, we were trained how to identify that smell very early, and the one time I smelled it, I knew what to do. So the education does work. So a couple more questions have come in about cost. The first one being, can you compare the cost between heating with natural gas versus an equal amount of heating oil?
So on a per gallon basis, our current price for a residential customer is $20.81 per 1,000 cubic feet. That is the same as for the same BTUs of energy if heating oil was $2.75 per gallon. So in a direct comparison, if you were paying $2.75 per gallon for heating oil, our natural gas price would be the same.
Okay. And if the cost of converting buildings to natural gas is being subsidized, does that mean that the rates being paid by customers are higher to cover those subsidies? So
the installation of the service lines is an investment that the utility is making. Generally, the reason that utilities do that and why we're doing that is that adds volume to the system. So all of our fixed costs that we have then become spread over more volume. So it makes sense for the utility in the long run to make that investment to attract new customers. So while it does provide a cost, it also, the offsetting usage has a positive contribution to the utility in the long term.
Okay, and now since we don't have any more questions online, I'll just throw in one thing that has come up a few times in our Energy, Environment, and Natural Resources Committee. There's been quite a bit of discussion about a potential natural gas pipeline from the North Slope, and I'm curious if you have any thoughts about the likelihood of that happening.
So I won't comment on the likelihood of that happening. I mean, we all have our opinions, and it's all driven by economics. And it's the North Slope project today is in a challenging environment related to a lot of competitive LNG projects throughout the world. So it's a challenge. I will comment, and some people do question at times the investments we're making in LNG infrastructure if a natural gas pipeline is imminent. You know, if we have a natural gas pipeline in the next 10 years, you know, have we wasted capital by investing in LNG infrastructure? And it's actually completely the opposite with what we're doing, and everything we're doing is extremely complementary to a natural gas pipeline. Many communities throughout the US and Canada have what's called LNG peak shaving facilities, where they store the LNG in the summer months and have it available during the peak winter demand period. And they can supplement the supply so they can reduce the demand charges they pay on a pipeline capacity throughout the year. When you use a pipeline, you have to pay for the capacity that you reserve, and you have to pay for that 365 days of the year, when you only need the peak capacity for a couple of weeks in the winter. So everything we're doing today is very complementary to a pipeline in the future. All of the distribution system and customer installations we do are fully compatible. And so that we'll have our system and infrastructure developed more fully at the time that if it does come, that our community can take greater advantage.
Okay, and that's all the questions that we have.
So if okay, I'll leave you with some closing comments. And one of the things that I just like to remind everybody that the Interior Gas Utility is our community-owned utility. We are your gas utility. Our success is dependent on the community's engagement with us, and it takes all of us to make sure that we can bring the most affordable gas possible to as many people as possible. And so again, I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity today and appreciate it. Look forward to providing updates in the future.
Great. Thanks again so much, Dan, for joining us today. Lots of great information. I know I was taking a bunch of notes myself. So if you have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Janelle or Marissa at the Chamber. And to our listeners, thanks for joining us today. Please consider supporting the Chamber's efforts to host a successful but very responsible Golden Days event, and reach out to let us know how you or your business can help. As a reminder, we will not be hosting presentations for the next 2 Tuesdays as Chamber staff focuses their efforts on Golden Days. We hope to see you the weekend of July 18th from at least 6 feet away as our community celebrates its founding and looks toward Golden Days ahead. Thanks again, Fairbanks. Be well.